Hey guys, I don't know if you knew it or not, but we actually do sell t-shirts here for the YouTube channel. Now, I know you guys may like being nude, but here in the real world, we like wearing clothes. And what better way can you do that? By buying one of our t-shirts. So go to teespring.com and pick any of the shirts that you see us wear on the show, and you can be like us, not nude. Hi guys, welcome to the Rule of Two, where the Star Wars news saga continues. I'm Terrence, and I'm back with some more Star Wars news. And obviously, the biggest piece of Star Wars news out there is that Temuera Morrison has been confirmed to be cast as Boba Fett in the upcoming Season 2 of The Mandalorian. Now, I know you might be saying that, hey, the news is a little bit late. Came out on Friday, it was Mother's Day weekend, so I couldn't quite get in here and give you my thoughts on it, but I am here now, and we're definitely going to talk about it. And the first thing that we need to talk about is that it now makes Boba Fett surviving the Sarlacc pit absolute canon. It had been talked about in all the books, the Star Wars Legends, that are now, all the books that are now considered Star Wars Legends before, but when Disney took over, they kind of pushed those aside, and the only thing on film was considered canon. Now we're getting confirmation that him surviving the Sarlacc pit is absolute canon. So that's one of the things that makes all of our nerd hearts just kind of swoon when we think about the fact that we are going to be getting more Boba Fett. And the fact that we're going to be getting Temuera Morrison back as Boba Fett, since that he's basically the Boba Fett character from the prequels as Jango Fett through the Clone Wars, and even being redubbed over in the original series as the voice of Boba Fett from that timeline, or from that archival footage of Boba Fett, I guess is a better way that I could say it. So to have him back does bring up a couple of questions. My first question is, timeline wise, if we look at where his character was in the original prequels, the young Boba Fett may have been pre-teen, and when we get to the original saga, I would assume that Boba Fett's character was maybe around Han Solo's age, so I would say like mid 30s, maybe early 40s at the most. So when we think about The Mandalorian taking place a few years after Return of the Jedi, or sometime after Return of the Jedi, but not too far, because the galaxy hasn't quite changed that much, you have to think about where his character would be. So you would think that his character might be in his late 40s at that particular point. Now, Temuera Morrison's actual real age is around 59 or 60, depending on what time you actually see this video. So it does make him a little bit older, what we think that Boba Fett would probably be. But if we look back to Pedro Pascal actually doing Din Djarin as the Mandalorian, we don't get to see Pedro Pascal's face until one episode of the series. So if we're only using Temuera Morrison as a voiceover, and then there's a stunt actor that's in most of the scenes with him on screen, then that's probably good enough. Kind of like how we got James Earl Jones back to play Vader, knowing that he is now up in age. So time-wise, that does make sense for him to be that way, for him to be older and still playing the same character. I had saw some things where people were like, well, why don't you just get Daniel Logan? But if you think about it, Daniel Logan is not old enough to be playing a character to his late 40s to maybe 50. That dude's still pretty young, even though I know he does have a Boba Fett costume. He has his own. But the fact that he's still too young to be playing this version of Boba Fett, maybe if they do a prequel, maybe they'll recast him for something like that. That would make sense. So I understand why we don't get Daniel Logan. One of the other ways that they can use Temuera Morrison as a character in the series is that since he represents the clone themselves, could we then see him without a helmet on and more face time as one of the clones? Throughout the Clone Wars, some of the clones had kind of rose to prominence throughout the battles and wars and things of that sort. One of the most notable ones is Commander Rex. What we see Temuera Morrison as Commander Rex, just like we saw Gina Carano's character as an ex-rebellion soldier, just kind of out there with no purpose. Could we then come across maybe Commander Rex, who is also out there with no purpose, and kind of find out what he's doing? So it's kind of a dual role that they can use Temuera Morrison, and in this we can see Boba Fett maybe in an episode or two, and then maybe come across Commander Rex later on. It does make sense. And if they are going to use him like that, I would like to see something like that. So that way we can address both sides. Hey, what happened to Boba Fett and what happened to all of these other clone soldiers who may or may not still be out there? I would like some kind of resolution on that. So that was my first question with this. My second question with this is that, are we going to see the actual escape from the Sarlacc pit? Now, there's been fan films out there and footage that people think of how he got out. And like I said, it was in the Legends books. Will they dedicate an episode to show it? Now, I do wonder, because we kind of got that teaser where we heard in the sand, we heard the spurs jingling, the signature spurs jingling of Boba Fett. He was already out of the Sarlacc pit. Is that just kind of like foreshadowing what we're going to get? Will they spend an entire episode to show how he gets out and what is his motivation within this whole season? Is it that he's going to be chasing Din Djarin, which we'll get into in a minute, but will we get a little bit more of backstory about what's been going on, or will they push that off to maybe see if they spin him off into something else, or maybe a season 3 where we can address it in more detail? Now, my next question with this is, who's the real villain of this season? I was saying, will he be chasing the Mandalorian? Well, if we think about season 1, Grand Moff Gideon was the villain of the first season. We assume that he's going to be the villain of the second season because it has been shown that he survived with the Darksaber, and he's talking to some extent about him having some lightsaber battles. But seeing that he kind of controls things from behind the scenes and up front if necessary, will he get somebody who has the bounty hunter and tracking skills like a Boba Fett, who may still be working for the Empire at this particular point in time, to track down the Mandalorian? Since everybody else that they sent after the Mandalorian didn't quite make it, this would be a formidable foe for Din Djarin's character. You know, Mandalorian versus quasi-Mandalorian. I mean, if you go into the comics that just released out there, there's more to that. But anyway, so is now Boba Fett the true villain of this series, or is it still now Grand Moff Gideon? I want to say Midian. Gideon. Or is it just kind of like a master apprentice type deal? Well, I guess we'll see in season 2. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below, because my head's really trying to wrap around that. Back to the actual villain of the series, my next question is that, how many people, and is this season overstuffed? I mean, if we think about it, like I said, we're going to have Giancarlo Esposito in this. We're now going to have Temuera Morrison back as Boba Fett. We're going to get Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka. We're going to get Jamie Lee Curtis in some unnamed character. We're also going to get Michael Biehn in some unnamed character. Plus, we're going to be bringing back Gina Carano. I'm screwing up names today. Gina Carano and Carl Weathers. This season seems so overstuffed that I'm really worried. Bill Burr's even scheduled to come back in this season. This season's so overstuffed with characters, I wonder, will we get too far away from the Mandalorian himself, and that will focus on all of these other side characters to where it doesn't feel like it's his show anymore? Question for you guys, make sure you put it in the comments below. All right, so that's all I got for right now. Like I said, I know this information was a little bit late, but I wanted to spend some time to talk with you guys about it, kind of bounce some of my thoughts off with you. Definitely put it in the comments below so that way I can engage with you, and maybe we can kind of figure out what we think that this actual series is going to turn into once season 2 hits. Like I said before, if this is the first time that you're on the channel, make sure you go to the subscribe button, as well as click the notification button. That way you're aware of all the other Star Wars news that comes up, and hopefully I'm able to get it to you at a more timely fashion. All right. So as always, may the Force be with you. Wait, guys, are you still here? I'm glad you're still here. All right, so if you look down, I mean, it's somewhere over here. Look down. We actually have a Patreon. So if you guys watch the show and you really like what we want to do and you want to help support the show and you want to help me get an editor so I can get to sleep at night because I'm really tired and you guys see all my mistakes in the episodes, so please go to patreon.com/thegoods. Give us a penny, give us a nickel, give us $1.
Just don't give us the finger.
Don't do that. But make sure you do donate something, because we do have some giveaways. There's posters, there's t-shirts.
I'll sign something for you.
Exactly. So take a look, guys, and help us out. We appreciate it.